enhancing drugs is not just steroids. I mean, you have growth hormone, you have many other things, right? People assume, well, because it helps build and repair muscle damage, then it allows you to do more volume.
The difference between natural and, do we want to say tested and non-tested, or do we just want to say using and not using?
Using
so
and not
using and
yeah.
not using.
Yeah.
It can get convoluted sometimes. Because
they're just not use natty because it just that sounds really bad.
It sounds bad, you know. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. I have a couple thoughts on it myself, so I want to see how that kind of wraps into what you're going to say.
Yeah, well, it's people oversimplify it. Okay, and I'm going to start by saying what most people believe. Okay, and that's not that accurate.
Yeah.
People assume, you know what, steroids, what they do. Well, first of all, enhancing drugs is not just steroids. I mean, you have growth hormone, you have many other things, right? But let's say steroids, it increases protein synthesis. So people assume, well, because it helps build and repair muscle damage, then it allows you to do more volume. Okay, that's the most common belief, that if you're enhanced, you can do more volume or get away with more volume, which is different. And if you're natural, you need to lower the volume. And if we're talking about, let's say, hypertrophy, pure hypertrophy training with lighter loads, let's say sets of 8, 12, 15 reps, then I would tend to agree. Because that type of training is not super stressful on joints, on tendons, and stuff like that. So yeah, you can probably do more work. When it comes to strength, I think many times it's the opposite. Okay, and I think you mentioned that in the past, that the problem is that steroids and other enhancing drug will make you gain strength faster than your tendons and joints can keep up with. So you are increasing the risk of injury because you are so much stronger than your structure can allow you to do. So if anything, if you're training for strength, okay, you should do less volume, because each set in that enhanced state where you are producing more force than your tendon and structure can support is a risk of injury. Okay, and I would agree with that, but again, with the caveat, that's not as simple. It depends on the style of training you're doing for strength, okay? And it depends on the type of drugs you're using, okay? Let's look at the type of drugs, for example, okay? You have steroids. Again, all steroids will increase protein synthesis, will help you build muscle. But some have other effects. Like a lot of them are neurostimulant. They will increase the effectiveness of the nervous system by several pathways, which make you stronger than it makes you bigger. You gain strength a lot faster. For example, something like trenbolone, like allotestin, will increase the sensitivity of the beta-adrenergic receptors, the receptors that interact with your own adrenaline. So you become more sensitive to adrenaline. And when you are sensitive to adrenaline, what that does is you get stronger, more powerful. You can get in that hyped up zone much more easily. And you also shut down the protective mechanisms. It puts you in that like fight or flight mode, right? So trenbolone, allotestin, stuff like that will increase strength by increasing your sensitivity to adrenaline. You have other products, mostly the DHT derivative, that will increase the speed of neurological transmission, mostly by increasing acetylcholine or acetylcholine recycling, for example. Even something like a Masteron, which you would not associate with strength, can be a very potent strength enhancer by increasing neurological factors. Okay. Now, so these products can help you neurologically. They will make you a lot stronger neurologically. Okay. And now, okay, so let's backtrack a bit. And then, of course, you have drugs that will actually protect you against injuries. Like if you have something like an Anadrol, that will increase water retention. Okay, the more, and again, when you're peaking for a powerlifting competition, a powerlifting meet, you blow it up on purpose, right? Because the more water retention you have, the more stable your joints are. That's called passive stability. So the more stuff you can pack around the shoulder, for example, could be glycogen, could be water, could be fat, it creates pressure on that joint. Pressure creates stability. More stability means your body will allow you to use more of the strength potential because it feels safer.
Yeah.
So product that will increase water retention can actually make it safer to lift heavy. And then you have, of course, you have some product like DECA that will actually increase joint lubrication, and you have some product that might actually help with collagen synthesis, which would help. So if we look at that, again, the training will be affected by the product you choose to use. Or more precisely, you should adjust the product to your training style. Let's look at max effort training, or even super max effort. Like if you're doing high box squats, board presses, pin pulls, yeah, it's max effort, but it's really super max because you're using weights that are heavier than what you can do in the full range movement. That's a tremendous amount of stress on the joints and tendons, right? So if you are taking a drug that increases nervous system, what happens is you are turbocharging your capacity to do that effort to dangerous levels. See what I mean?
Yep.
So in that case, if you're someone who's using max effort with drugs that are neurostimulant, then you can't do volume, because if you do volume, you're going to tear something apart. Okay. But if you are using something like a Russian type training, like Boris Shaiko program, which is the polar opposite of maximum effort.
Yeah.
It's literally just practicing the main lifts with 75, 80% sets of 3 reps. It's not hard training. You're doing tons of sets. But none of these sets are physically hard. None of these sets are stressful on the joints, on the tendons, because it's very submaximum, right? The main effect of that program is mostly through technical improvement, but it provides very little in terms of muscle growth. In fact, when I used it, I lost muscle mass, which is why I had to delay a photo shoot, because I was getting to look like a Calvin Klein model when I dieted down. Then it doesn't work great for neurological efficiency, because if you don't lift heavy weights, you don't get that strong neurological drive. The only thing it does, it makes you good at doing the lifts. Okay, and if that's your problem, that's going to help you out. And for them, the steroids will actually be allowing them to do more volume, and it can actually compensate for the fact that they don't have any neurological training. See what I mean? And if that training does not train a strong neural drive, but you're taking trembolone, taking allotestin, which increases your sensitivity to adrenaline, or a mastron, which will increase neurological drive, then you compensate for the shortcoming of the program. It doesn't increase how dangerous it is. See what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. Then it also looks at, well, what are your strengths and weaknesses? So if you are someone who's extremely muscular, but very poor nervous system, okay? Then if you use a product that boosts neurological efficiency, you're probably not at a huge injury risk if you do more volume, because you already have the structure in place, big muscle mass, big tendons, okay? So increasing neural drive is not going to be a problem. But if you are someone with a very effective neural drive, but very low muscular development, so probably a weaker structure, and you use product that boosts neurological drive, then you will get injured. You will get injured, right? So again, it depends on what your problem is. If you are someone who lacks muscle mass, you probably need something that is more anabolic and that will also create water retention, because you need size, you need weight. Weight moves weight. So you need stability, you need more protein synthesis, you need something that converts to estrogen, because the estrogen increases IGF-1, which increases muscle growth, and it also keeps the joint lubricated. But if you're someone with plenty of muscle mass already, that is very stable, but you have shitty nervous system, then you want to go with the product that will drive the nervous system down. So it's not as simple as when you are enhanced, you can do more volume, or you should do less volume. It depends on your style of training. If you're using max effort, yes, you probably need to do less heavy lifting when you're on, but you can compensate by doing more assistance work, because the assistance work is not as traumatic on the joints. Okay, and so again, it depends on what you need as a person.
What I've always observed and have stated is, in a more meathead way, much of what you were just saying is that there's more factors going on than what people would lead to, right? Because they're saying, well, the recovery should lead to X, where there's a lot of factors at play here, where I most definitely would notice the explosiveness that you're, even for myself being on cycle or off cycle, there's a feeling of a bar popping on my back when I'm coming up from a box squat to the bar just coming up. It's, for me, it's dramatic, because I've always been more explosive than strong. It's dramatic. And that is also more fatiguing. You know, absolutely. So that because of what you're saying, the adrenaline and all that, that's more fatiguing on that for that lifter, right? Now, some lifters that are just grinders, not so much, but I still wanted to try to get their intent to become better, even though it may not actually look like it ever gets better because that's just how they are. But yet they would still fatigue faster if they were on.
Yep.